Hi, welcome to DC Vigilante. Um, so, I try to be different. I try to make this video channel just about me and what I'm thinking, and by what I'm thinking, and I know a lot of YouTubers do the same, but they also try to keep a sort of non-biased sort of line, especially when it comes to talk about um, what they honestly feel. And so, and of course, they have to watch what they say, otherwise, they will offend, or they'll be like one huge city or culture or country that they'll offend. But for me, I'm not in this for the likes or the videos or whatever. If I was, I would put more effort into it and script what I'm going to say and everything else. But I'm not like that. I want to say what I feel, and because you're given this right, like freedom of speech and stuff. And I'm sorry about this weird angle there. Yeah, I'll set it up right beside Batman and Superman here. Right. So, and what's getting me just now is you had all this news in America where you are where all the biased journalists and press and everything else, they've phoned oh yes, my drink, by the way, the drink of today is Irn-Bru, yes, made in Scotland, where I'm from, yes, right. So for me, I mean, what you got is you got all these journalists and all these press, and they phone the police station, right, cop station, whatever you call it, or you phone the FBI or the CIA, whatever it is over there, right, the National Guard, and ask them what their precautions are for a movie, right, because they want to safeguard their citizens. Now, the good side of that is, I mean, that's, for me, that's a lot of, press for a movie. I mean, that's going to get into the papers. And the reason why they're contacting it, because then they can state that there is no cause for alarm, which there isn't, because there's been so many different movies out there, right? There's been so many different genres out there, detailing every kind of thought process that goes through the human brain, every sort of scum and villainy, every sort of sick perversion, any sort of homicidal tendencies. Basically, a film is there to sort of hold a mirror up to the culture and the world that we could be living in. But this film, this Joker film, is a fictional character. This character does not exist. His circumstances have been made up in order to get to his state of mind. There's no physical evidence. As I say, I've not seen the film, I've got my tickets though. There's no physical evidence or any evidence whatsoever that this will be the outcome. Right? It's a fantasy sort of story. It's a story to sort of say, here is a fictional character like Tarzan, like Pennywise from It, who comes from a galaxy in the universe where his sole enemy is a big giant tortoise. And this is a killer clown that goes around and kills children. And you don't see the National Guard coming out for people dressed up as clowns, even though a lot of people would gather that to be one of the most scariest things to ever inflict in a child's thought process. So what we have is we have the America that sells guns. Yes, I've talked about this before. I've talked about guns and down with them. I'm not down I'm not putting America down. I'm putting one aspect of the culture down. And they can disagree with me and they can be everything else, but not every American thinks the same way. I watch a lot of programs in America whose families don't want guns in their house. Right? I can't believe that there's guns in the world, but at the same time they could be living 2 doors down from somebody that's got a whole arsenal in their basement. And it can grow a culture of fear. Now, some people have said that, well, Britain has a knife culture or whatnot. Yes, but in a knife culture, that person can't go into a school and constantly kill all these people without being jumped upon. You know, and to take a knife and to kill anything, you have to really have some serious issues because it's a more personal approach. Well, that's my opinion anyway. So what we have is we have a culture where it is popular to deflate. It is popular to deflate the DC property in any which way it can. A DC film or an original movie that comes out, the best thing to do is to phone the police and go and there was an episode of Father Ted, right? And they were asked by the church. Father Ted is an Irish comedy. You can probably check it out on More4 or YouTube or something. And they were asked to protest against this film. So they would stand outside, down with this sort of thing because the church says so. But they eventually went in to watch it anyway, and it didn't cause any riot and it didn't cause any fuss. And you know, The Life of Brian was another film, even though The Life of Brian spent most of the time saying he's not the Messiah, just a very naughty, naughty boy. So now we have The Joker, which is a DC film. That seems to be the culture now to put a DC film down. And it's just ludicrous that, if you think about it, it's only in America. Notice that sort of famous phrase, only in America. Will we have this sort of news where there is no FBI or CIA guarding the cinemas for any lunacy? What does that say about America? What does that say about the culture that they're living in? And again, I stress, this is not every American. Most Americans are probably tired of the president, tired of their gun culture, tired of the fuss that has been made over these American corporations like Disney that seem to feel that they should spend most of the money and put down the oppositions in such a public way. And you cannot help but think, are these people paid by Disney to come up with these ludicrous ideas of slamming a film that has been an R-rated movie that's about a homicidal maniac and say this can cause a lot of disturbance? It's the same thing with The Exorcist. It's the same thing as I say, John Wick, Bourne Identity, even James Bond, who's an assassin that goes out and kills people. It is just, for me, I stand with those Americans out there that must be shaking their heads in shame against how, when a movie is released elsewhere in the world, it's been treated as such, as a movie, and not as some sort of propaganda vehicle for the press. And I've said so in my last video about Well Done, Warner Brothers. But now I want to make a video stressing that this carry on in America. Now, none of us can... Now, I believe Obama wanted strict gun rules, strict gun laws. And, well, your current president wants the opposite. So how can you win? How can America move on from such a culture, or move on from such an old-fashioned law? They are stuck in a loop, and I feel sorry for that. For those people in America that that feel ashamed of how they're country. And by the way, no country is innocent in this. No country. But there is a lot to be shamed for of the UK. There's a lot of things to be said for in Ireland. I am only pinpointing this problem out because it's affected a movie that has been targeted by the American companies, because they have got this fallback on the right to bear arms, and how you combat firearms by making it feasible that teachers, and I believe this is on YouTube, teachers are being trained to be this sort of an assault guy with a gun, right? And the kids are trained to go and attack the teacher and pretend he's an armed assailant. We have schools in America that have metal detectors going on. How is that possible in schools? That has not been started by movies, because guns have been around in UK's and American movies for generations. And shooting people in games is all done by fantasy. My kid asked today, I says, how would you be able to get a gun? I said, I've no idea in this country. Nobody actually knows the sort of answers to that, because nobody in this country is interested in obtaining a gun. I wouldn't know the right way about getting it, nor would I really want one. But it's good up here in the fantasy realm. But how is it with you guys over there? But it's up to the Americans, the good thinking hard Americans who want change. Forget climate control. Forget that. For me, gun control is something that is feasibly easy to fix rather than climate control. Gun control is killing more people, gun control is killing more people in America than the world is just now. You know, I would be the number one killer. You know, it goes to the saying, who's the killer? You know, it's not the guns that kill people, it's people that kill. Right, well, are we that ridiculous in our heads that, you know, now I know you'll find a way. I mean, Walking Dead, they have bows and arrows and everything else, and so if guns isn't going to be easy to get hold of, then there's always something else. So I would like to ask the world to stop and think. The next time you sit down and open a piece of paper and you read the tabloids about school shootings or the fact that people believe that there should be armed people outside a movie theatre because they believe that the people that go in to see cinemas, to see movies, are that easily persuaded to somehow reenact, you know, a movie that they haven't seen, you know, go into a theatre and think that they're the Joker, then that to me is not the movie's fault, but the society that you're living in. And I've said before in my previous videos is, you know, if there is people out there with psychological problems, then it should be up to the American government or the British government or whatever other government there is to take note of these people, to put warning signs. And as I say, I stress this enough, this is not just America. There are people slipping through the cracks and going unnoticed. kids growing up without the proper care and love, without being noticed. Kids growing up in abused families and everything else without being noticed. People are too scared to take the right steps. These are the people that go through school or go into school later on with guns or knives or anything like that. But so we've got to take that risk away. We've got to live in a culture where guns are thought of as another cigarette. Smoking kills. Gun kills. So, ban it. Ban it from public areas. Ban it from the public. Yes, have gun clubs or only fire guns in gun clubs. It's something as simple as that. But don't stoke the fire into phoning the press or phoning the police stations and the Home Guard or whatever there is out there and saying, excuse me, I'm a wee bit worried about any maniacs coming to see this film. So can you please have a police assistance? There is no talk about that over here. There's no talk about police standing outside cinemas or anybody making a phone call, because we believe it's just a movie. Can your country say the same? Can it? Leave your comments, your thoughts and feelings below. This is DC Vigilante. This is my truth.